Sports. Big Block 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 Sports.
Big Block Sports, episode 7B for Ballerific, for broke, because I just came back from Vegas and I didn't bet on the games like I should have. But let's get into this week's point spreads, predictions, picks. I'll go through, like I said, I'll let you guys know who's the favorite and by how many points. I'll let you know who I think is going to win. I got some bullet points for each game that I'll be talking about as well. So I appreciate you guys joining me here on episode 7B of the Big Block Sports Podcast. Again, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Castbox or Apple Podcasts, any of the other audio platforms, you can follow my page on there so you're always made aware of new episodes and updates. But let's get right into it. We got Thursday night. And this game actually, see, like I said, I bring up the schedule earlier than, like, I'm not looking at the schedule for the first time right now. I looked at the schedule probably an hour before I started recording. And I had an idea of who I was going to pick in this first Thursday night game. It is the Denver Broncos at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, and this line might actually be different now with some of the news that came out today. But when I pulled this spread, the Browns were 4.5-point favorites. That was probably before the announcement that Baker Mayfield would not be playing. So now the Browns are down, I want to say, both running backs. I'm not sure if Chubb is coming back. I know Hunt is out for a couple of weeks. I got to look and see if Chubb is back. But they're down both. Their two running backs are injured, possibly. I want to say they're down a tackle. Jarvis Landry's already hurt. He's out for the season, I believe. And now Baker Mayfield is hurt and will not be playing. And they will be starting Case Keenum. So now we got the Denver Broncos, who started out 3-0 and now are 3-3, at the Cleveland Browns. I'm trying to decide if those injuries are too much for the Browns to overcome and if they take an L. I want to consider the team outside of Baker. Case Keenum is who he is. He's a backup for a reason. He's bounced around through several teams for a reason as a backup. I know he had that one magical season in Minnesota, but since then he's, even before that, he was who he was. Teddy Bridgewater, again, started out 3-0 in Denver. They now have lost their last three. They're 3-3. Ooh, this is a really tough pick. I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. Given the spread and an upset, I'm sure the spread might be down to like 1 point now, but I still think the Browns will probably be favored because of their talent on defense. I'm going to take the Broncos in an upset. I think there's a great opportunity for them to take advantage with their pass rush, their secondary, with Case Keenum in the game instead of Baker, without the threat of that rushing attack, because both of the running backs are kind of banged up. Again, they really just have OBJ as a weapon, despite his numbers being significantly lower and lower each season since he's left New York. Actually, since this, let me get my arms back here. Since this thing, his numbers have become less and less every season. I understand some of those were injury-ridden seasons, but still the numbers are what they are. I'm taking the Denver Broncos. Upset alert. Next game, Carolina Panthers at the New York Giants. Again, Carolina, another team, started out 3-0. They are now 3-3, have lost 3 of the last 3 games. Sam Darnold is doing Sam Darnold things. Then again, Daniel Jones is doing Daniel Jones things. Saquon Barkley is still out. I think Carolina wins this game over the New York Giants. I think, again, DJ Moore, Giants don't have anybody who can cover him. Tommy Trumbull is coming on. I don't think the Giants have anybody who can cover him at the tight end position. And Chuba Hubbard has been effective. You know, he hasn't, has he been McCaffrey-like? No, but he's been effective enough. I just think, again, it's always going to come down to Sam Darnold. I do think the New York Giants defense does not challenge him enough to create multiple turnovers like he's had in the last 3 games. Well, actually, he had turnovers in the wins, but I think the Carolina Panthers take this one. They are simply the better, more complete team, especially their defense, their pass rush. They really have the ability to get after the quarterback. And Daniel Jones has the incredible ability to fumble the ball multiple times during a game. Carolina Panthers with the dub. Next game, New York Jets at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite, meaning they'll win by at least a touchdown. And I rather agree with that. I will take the I will take the New England Patriots in this game. Mac Jones, I'm not really still quite sure what to believe. Now, you will go online and 49ers Twitter, bro. It's such a dark, desolate, terrible place. You know, so many people are just, we should have picked Mac Jones. We should have picked Mac Jones. Yo, like, chill. But anyway, I do like what Mac Jones does right now in the New England Patriots offense. Depending on who they're playing, that is effective. In this instance, they're playing the Jets, so pretty much anything is effective. So I am taking the New England Patriots. I do think if you're betting on the games, I do think the Jets can cover that 6.5 points. More so because New England will not score that much. And I think this will be a low-scoring game. I don't think either offense has significant playmaking ability. But I do think the New England Patriots, at least at this point, are better coached. They have more veteran leadership. They have more veteran players than the New York Jets, despite both teams having rookie quarterbacks. Taking the New England Patriots. Kansas City Chiefs at the Tennessee Titans. Big win for Tennessee on Monday night. If they're truly honest with themselves, and I know they were competitive during that game, Buffalo gave them a lot. Buffalo gave them a lot to keep them in the game, specifically Josh Allen's fumbles. They had an interception that ricocheted off of someone. And again, the last play at the end, 99 out of 100 times, Josh Allen gets that, pushes into the end zone. He's a big kid, 6'5", 2 million pounds, however much he weighs. The probability that he slips in that play is very low, I'm sure. So the Tennessee Titans really have to look at themselves and wonder, which team are we? And I would say this is both teams, Kansas City as well, have to look at themselves too and say, well, who are we? I know that they're 3-3 now, but we've seen more turnovers. We've seen consistent struggles on defense. Tennessee Titans, we've seen the same thing. They got 2 excellent receivers who spend 85-90% of the time on the bench. But when they're in the game, dominated. AJ Brown, listen, when who's on Monday night? Greasy? Yeah. When Greasy starts calling out your plays, and when Riddick starts calling out your plays, you got to make an adjustment, because every time that AJ Brown was that, like they said in the telecast, it was spot on. Whenever he's the closest receiver to the ball, meaning he's that third wide receiver in the slot or the second wide receiver in the slot, closest to the line of scrimmage, closest to the offensive line, they're running the deep end. And he ran it every single time. So if I'm Kansas City, I'm going to look out for that. Most of the time, you're not going to have to worry about him being on the field. Same thing with Julio Jones. You might end up having to cover Ferkster, or you might have to just spend most of your resources to tackle Derrick Henry. But Chiefs 4.5. I'm going to take Kansas City. I think, like I talked about in episode 6, Tennessee has a lot of players on injured reserve. I think Kansas City, for the most part, is relatively healthy. Even though Edwards-Helaire is injured in the backfield, I do think Jerick McKinnon, I don't want to say he's having a renaissance, but I do think he looks a little more spry, a little more whatever you want to say, in the backfield with the Kansas City Chiefs. They still have Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce. If Mahomes can just dial it back some, like I've been talking about in a few episodes now, they should win this game easily. If they start getting frivolous with the ball and filling themselves a little too much before the game starts, I could see them losing this game. But I don't think they will do that given their record and given how they've played over the last few weeks. I'm taking Kansas City in this game over the Tennessee Titans. We have the Washington football team, who just released my fantasy kicker for no damn reason. It makes me wonder, and I know when I initially read it on my ESPN NFL app, like, yeah, he missed an important field goal last week. I think it was like a 43-yarder, and the team felt like they had enough. And I thought, that's a bit extreme for your starting kicker in week, what is this, week 7? Week 6? So 6 games, basically. You're like, we're done with this guy. So you had this guy as your starting kicker since June. You've watched him kick all offseason. You've watched him kick during OTAs. You've watched him kick during training camp. You've watched him kick during the preseason. You've watched him kick week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now is when you realize, you say, he's not going to work out. Like, something is a fishy there to me, given that right now the football team is actually under investigation by the NFL over, all sorts of conduct. And I will say not positive conduct. And again, like I said in my last week's episode, that's how John Gruden got caught up. They were actually investigating the Washington football team, and that's when they started looking at emails coming into the football team to Bruce Allen in particular. And they're like, yo, this guy Gruden is going off. So I wonder if the kicker somehow, put on your tinfoil hat, is involved in that conspiracy. But they're playing the Green Bay Packers. They are not going to beat the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are 9.5-point favorites. They're probably going to win by like 2 touchdowns. I don't see this game being close. I love Taylor Heineke. I saw some articles where they're saying he's not the answer. I'm trying to figure out, well, if he's not, who is? Does the football team make a play for Mr. Watson, possibly? Who knows? But the Green Bay Packers win this game easily over the Washington football team. We have Atlanta Falcons at the Miami Dolphins. The Falcons are 1.5-point favorites. I'm going to take the Falcons. I know the Dolphins going Dolphin. That was a hard loss. That was a long flight back after a hard loss. Tua, still not really sure what or who he is or what sort of, NFL caliber quarterback he's going to be. I know what Matt Ryan can do. They did not have Ridley during the previous game. He is back. Kyle Pitts is starting to find his way in the NFL game, being a dominant player. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons over the Miami Dolphins. Here, the game is actually here in Miami, and I think the Falcons come away with the dub. Cincinnati Bengals at Baltimore Ravens. I've seen some reports that this is now the game of the week, given the Bengals' resurgence this season with Jamar Chase, possible Rookie of the Year candidate, Joe Burrow, crash test dummy number 1, out there slinging it around. I think low-key their defense has been exceptional, but not a lot of people are experiencing that. Not a lot of people are expressing that or seeing that because, most people are going to be focused on Burrow and Chase and, everything they have going offensively. Mixon at the Baltimore Ravens. You already know how I feel about the Baltimore Ravens. They are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going to continue to take Lamar Jackson until Lamar Jackson is no longer Lamar Jackson. Right now, he is playing the best football I've seen him play since he came into the NFL. He's throwing from the pocket. He is reading defenses. He sliced and diced the Chargers like no one's business. And I think he will do the same thing in Cincinnati. Now, there is a 6.5-point spread. Again, if you're betting out there, I could probably see Cincinnati covering that 6.5 points. I could see like a 24-20 game, 23-17 or something like that. So I could see Cincinnati covering that spread, but I don't think they'll win the game. I'm taking Baltimore to win the game. Not even quite sure. Yeah, there aren't really many other games that will be competitive this week. To me, it seems like that would be considered a game of the week. Maybe Kansas City and Tennessee. I think if those teams were playing better, if they were coming into the game with one loss, both teams, I could see that game being the game of the week. But they're stumbling through the season so far, the Titans specifically. So I think this will be an entertaining game, but I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens over the Cincinnati Bengals. Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions at the Los Angeles Rams. Wow. This is the largest spread this week. 15.5 points. Can you imagine walking in to the Detroit Lions facility or whatever I don't even know what it's like to be a Detroit Lion, but I cannot imagine being a part of a team, of an organization, reviewing the spread, and they're saying we're going to lose by more than 2 touchdowns, 15.5 points to the Los Angeles Rams. How? And this is where I know it's joking in nature, but we gotta give Dan Campbell. We got to give him something, bro, because he has his team motivated. These players play hard. They lose, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they've been in several games this season where it looked like this might be the one. It just hasn't been yet. How does he motivate these guys when consistently they are double-digit spreads, 15.5 points? I'm not going to try the Lions. I don't think they cover that spread anyway. I'm taking the Rams, easy money. Eagles at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 2.5-point favorites. I think that's an easy pick. I love the Eagles. I love what they have going on offensively, defensively. After you get through that front seven, maybe not even front seven, front four. Once you get past that front four, it's like, Brian Dawkins ain't back there no more. In case you haven't noticed, Malcolm Jenkins went back to New Orleans. He's like, I'm feeling it here. So that defense, boy, I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. I think, again, the offense of the Raiders is going to be more than what the Philadelphia Eagles can handle. The Raiders can run the ball with Jacobs. They also have some nice change of pace backs. Drake has been a wonderful free agent pickup for them. Kenyon Drake has really stepped in, even when Josh Jacobs is injured or when he's not injured. As a change of pace, Drake has been really great. Henry Ruggs is coming on this year. He struggled with some drops early in his career, but this year he's catching everything, and he's always been fast. I think he's finally putting the pieces together to be an elite NFL wide receiver. They still have Waller over there at tight end. Renfro, first down machine. So I think the Raiders just have too much offensively. And then we talked about the Raiders before. We'll see how it goes, but they were my other team in the AFC Championship, along with the Buffalo Bills. And so far, the Bills are still riding high. I know the Raiders had a bit of a hiccup the previous week, but they won this week. And it seemed like, again, the team seemed galvanized. Like I said, the situation that happened with the Raiders is going to do 1-2 things. team's going to fall apart, wheels are going to fall off, or they're going to come closer together. And it kind of looks like it's really allowed the team to bond and play for each other. So I like the Raiders in this game, covering the 2.5 points also in case you're betting out there. But I think the Raiders will win the game easily over the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, I stand corrected. It is not the largest spread. This game is the largest spread. The Houston Texans at the Arizona Cardinals, 17.5 points. That's almost 3 touchdowns. Oh my Lord. Woof. Arizona Cardinals will win this game. They'll continue to go undefeated. I have my thoughts about Arizona. I'll save them for another episode. But this game, they'll be able to win easily over the Houston Texans. Maybe has a little bit of a trap game feel after that big game over the Browns last week. You know, a lot of people were expecting the Browns to be the team that causes the Cardinals to hiccup, and they ran through them easily. The Houston Texans, despite the controversy and the jokes or whatever, they're not one of the. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they're not the worst team in the NFL. I at times listen to the Pat McAfee podcast, and I like to watch the picks that they do as well. And McAfee, this is before the Jaguars game in London. He actually picked the Dolphins to win. I picked the Jaguars, but he was like, when he was watching the Jaguars the week prior, he was thinking to himself, why the hell did he bet on the Jaguars? And some of the things I saw in that Dolphins game was like, ooh, this was a sketch pick. But they won, so I felt good about it. But, the Houston Texans, I think, are they great? They're not great at all. But are they the worst, absolute, terrible team? No, I think they're struggling with a rookie quarterback now, Davis Mills, who was not, again, a highly touted rookie quarterback, right? He was picked, I want to say, in the 3rd round, maybe. But he was not one of the big 3 or 4, right? Like Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence. He was not one of those guys. Trey Lance. He was not one of those guys. He was in the draft, but he was not, he probably wasn't invited to the draft. So I see, because I see production out of Brandon Cooks, mostly because he's the only receiver. Again, I see production out of, can't think of the dude's name right now, the running back. But I see production out of the running back. Again, I'm not quite sure defensively who plays for the Texans. Oh, Justin Reed. I know he plays for the Texans, but that's about all that I know. But I think the Arizona Cardinals win this game. It's very likely they cover that. I think they could win by 3 touchdowns like this. I do think with that high of a spread, though, if you're betting, you got a good chance for the Texans to cover that spread. The game could be 14-0 and they will cover. So betting man might take the Texans as a bet, but I don't think the Texans have a chance in the game. I think the Cardinals win easily. Chicago Bears at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 12.5 point spread. I was really high on Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears, more so because of their defense that, was kind of flying under the radar, because I think the Bears have always had a really good defense. And I thought once Justin Fields got in the game, it would really create some dynamic ability to it would add some dynamic ability to their offense, but it hasn't quite panned out. And again, maybe I was expecting too much of Justin Fields as a rookie quarterback. Maybe the Bears were too. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this game. Even though they're banged up defensively, I still think they have an opportunity to win this game. I think they could cover that spread easily, given their offensive firepower. All right, here we go. Indianapolis Colts at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 4.5 point favorites. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start again. Who else we got injured? I'm not sure who's going to play defensive back this week. I think we're rolling Josh Norman and Emmanuel Mosley back out. I will say that when I was watching the Colts last week, and now I can't remember who they played for the life of me, but I did watch the Colts game. Like, all right, we're going to play these guys in a couple of weeks here. Let me see what's up. There are a couple things that concerned me, and there are a couple things that made me feel like we can win this game. To get to the point of the matter, the 49ers are going to win this game, but I think Jonathan Taylor is a elusive back. I think he's fast. I think the Colts offensive line pushes people around. I think it'll be a great matchup between the Colts offensive line and the 49ers defensive line. I think it'll actually be a great line game between both sides, right? I think the 49ers offensive line versus the Colts defensive line will be another great slug match, whatever the term is. So Jonathan Taylor kind of concerned me, for lack of a better term. I think the tight end, Mo Alley Cox, he's big, he's fast, he can block, he can run, he's flying under the radar. I think he makes a lot of big catches and plays down the field for that offense. Again, the questions about Carson Wentz have never been his arm strength. He has a big NFL caliber arm. With Carson Wentz, it's always about the mental situation and can he stay healthy. So far, he's been as healthy as he could be. He's already broken his foot. He sprained both of his ankles. I don't think he had any injuries after the last game, but, he's coming in a little banged up, so hopefully we can bang him up some more. But I do think we can win this game. I think what gave me some peace of mind is that the Colts, T.Y. Hilton came back, but I think we can shell around him. I don't think they have anyone offensively either on the outside. And even though I mentioned Mo Alley Cox is a great tight end, I don't think he's necessarily a burner where he stretches the defense in an awkward way. So that gave me some peace of mind because we know we're dealing with injuries at both cornerback positions. So that gave me some peace of mind knowing that we could probably load the box to stop Jonathan Taylor because the Colts don't really have anyone who can flat out fly passes. I know T.Y. Hilton is that guy, but he's coming. He's already probably past the twilight of his career. He's just coming off an injury. We're not even really sure if he's in football shape yet. So I'm going to take the 49ers. I think, again, offensively, we have ineffective offense with either quarterback. I watched Trey Lance's games. I thought there were some missed opportunities. I thought there were some good things. I thought there were some bad things. The most common thread that I felt hindered us, actually is hindering us in all of the games, offensive line play. We're seeing Trent Williams get beat for sacks. And I'm not sure what the calls are, on the offensive line in that Cardinals game. The Cardinals loaded up 5 linemen every play almost. They were 5 across the front. So basically the blocking was 5-on-5. And for whatever reason, Mack would keep sliding to Trent Williams' side. And then that would cause Brunskill to then block the player that was over Mack. That would lead McGlinchey to then block the end. And then the 5th linebacker, who was Marcus Golden, unblocked several times throughout the game. And I just didn't really understand some of the offensive play call, right? Not the play calling. I mean the offensive line calls. I didn't get why we were shading to the, if we consider the strength of our offensive line, I would have to say it's definitely the left side with Trent Williams. And God dang it, Laken Tomlinson at guard. That has to be the strength of our offensive line to the left side. Not sure why he consistently leaned over Matt consistently leaned to that side when the fifth guy was on the other side on McGlinchey's shoulder. I saw a lot of plays get messed up because of that. And I can see where teams see that we are struggling with 5, 6, because that's what teams are doing right now with the 49ers. That's what's preventing the run game. That's what's slowing down all of that motion and all of the pull blocking that we do. They're putting 5, 6 players not in the box. They're lining them straight up across the line. That's going to prevent the outside runs. And if you really go back and watch, even as far back as when Kyle Shanahan was with the Atlanta Falcons, that's what the Patriots did, right? To stop the outside runs. Because in the first half of the game, Freeman was all day, left and right, sweep left, sweep right, pitch left, pitch right, all game. Patriots spread it out, went 5, 6 along the front of the line. They could no longer get outside. And then the game was left into Matt Ryan's hands to make plays in tight windows because they played tight man-to-man and zone coverage behind them. So that's what the teams are doing against the 49ers. I hope Kyle Shanahan sees that, because I see it, and makes the adjustments to do so. And I'm tired. I don't know who it is. I don't know what side it's coming from. But why is it every season? And it's been what? How many seasons now? 2? It's been like 2, 3 years since we traded Buckner to the Colts. They always got to bring it back up again. And now the stories I'm reading now is like, oh, I felt like I did everything to stay. I wanted to stay. They traded me. They didn't. Okay, bro. Like, we get it. Move on. Final game. I know I sound angry, right? Final game, New Orleans Saints at the Seattle Seahawks. The New Orleans Saints are 3.5-point favorites. I'm taking my boy J-Bo Wins, Jameis Winston, to beat Geno Smith. This is like an old ACC, right? Geno at West Virginia. No, I don't think West Virginia's in the ACC. They might be in the MAC or something. I don't know what division they're in now. But an old college quarterback matchup, right? Geno Smith from West Virginia. J-Bo Wins out of Florida State. They played some good games during their college careers. They now meet as NFL quarterbacks. Geno Smith coming in, replacing Russell Wilson. I do not think he has the ability to outplay Jameis Winston. One, I do not think the Seattle Seahawks have the ability defensively to stop the New Orleans Saints. I do think, again, for the Seattle offense is a great offense. I think they can run the ball. I think DK Metcalf, when he's not trying to play hero ball and run down the field when the game's basically like, you won the game, bro. Like, just go out of bounds, but whatever. I think they have an effective offense. Defensively, I have no idea what they're doing. The Saints have a very effective defense. They have cornerbacks who can cover. They got rid of Jadorus Jenkins, which, as you saw for Monday night, was a great idea. Still have Alvin Kamara. They have dang, I can't remember the receiver's name right now, but they have a receiver that's coming on strong. It's not McAllister. Whatever. He's like number 1. That's his number. He's coming on strong. So I think the Saints still have offensively a better offense. I think they have a better defense than the Seattle Seahawks. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. They are a 3.5-point favorite. I don't think the Seahawks will cover that spread. I don't see the Seahawks scoring many points in this game, maybe 10, maybe 13, touchdown, field goal, something like that. 2 field goals, touchdown, however you want to do the math. Taking New Orleans Saints. So we're at the end of the episode here again. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Let's just recap again. I got the Broncos in the upset over the Cleveland Browns, mostly because of the injuries. I got the Carolina Panthers over the Giants. I got the Patriots over the Jets. I got the Chiefs over the Titans. Green Bay Packers over the Washington Football Team. I got the Falcons over the Miami Dolphins. I have the Ravens over the Cincinnati Bengals. I have the Los Angeles Rams over the Detroit Lions. Las Vegas Raiders over the Philadelphia Eagles. Arizona Cardinals over the Houston Texans. Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Chicago Bears. 5-time Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers over the Indianapolis Colts. And I have the New Orleans Saints over the Seattle Seahawks. Again, this is episode 7B. Make sure you tune in next week for week 8 picks and predictions. If you're interested in NFL storylines and to hear me ramble about all sorts of NFL stuff, episode A is always that episode. It features several great segments from trades, from me calling out players, from me imagining the future of the NFL, which just happened in episode 7A. So if you're into imagination, if you're into football, episode A is really where you're going to find that. But I appreciate you tuning in to this week's episode of NFL Week 7 Picks and Predictions. Again, this is Big Block Sports. This is the Big Block Sports Podcast. My name is Malcolm May. Thanks for joining.